The sons of David. And the sons were born to David in Hebron. His firstborn was Amnon by Ahinoam the Jezreelite woman. His second, Caleb by Abigail, the widow of Nabal the Carmelite. The third, Absalom, the son of Maacah, the daughter of Talmai, the king of Geshur. The fourth, Adonijah, the son of Haggith. The fifth, Shephatiah, the son of Abital. And the sixth, Ithrim, by David's wife, Eglah. These were born to David in Hebron. Abner joins with David. Now, while there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David, Abner was strengthening his hold on the house of Saul. And Saul had a concubine, Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, and Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, said to Abner, "Why did you go in my father's concubine? Go into my father's concubine." Then Abner became very angry at Mephibosheth's words, and Abner said to him, "Am I a dog's head? Today I brought you about mercy on the house of Saul your father, his brothers and his friends, and have not shifted loyalties to the house of David. And you on this very day seek fault against me on behalf of an unrighteous wife. God do thus to Abner and more also. If, as the Lord swore an oath to David, so do I not to him this day, to transfer the kingdom from the house of Saul and set up a throne of David over Israel and Judah from Dan to Beersheba." And Mephibosheth could not answer Abner another word, because he feared him. Then Abner immediately sent messengers to David and Thalam, saying, "Make your covenant with me, and my hand shall be with you, to bring the house of Israel to you." And David said, "Good, I will make a covenant with you, but one thing I require of you, you shall not see my face unless you bring Michal, the daughter of Saul, when you come to me." So David sent messengers to Mephibosheth, Saul's son, saying, "Give me my wife Michal, whom I received for 100 foreskins of the Philistines." And Mephibosheth sent and took her from her husband, from Paltiel, the son of Laish. Her husband, weeping behind her, went along with her to Barum. So Abner said to him, "Go, return." And he returned. Now Abner communicated with the elders of Israel, saying, "In time past you were seeking for David to be king over you. Now, then do it. For the Lord has spoken of David, saying, by hand of my servant David, I will save Israel from the hand of the Philistines and from the hand of all their enemies." And Abner spoke in the hearing of Benjamin. Then Abner also went to speak in the hearing of David in Hebron, saying that seemed good to the eyes of Israel and the whole house of Benjamin. Joab slays Abner. So Abner and 20 men with him came to David at Hebron. And David made a feast for Abner and the men with him. Then Abner said to David, "I will arise and go, and gather all Israel to my lord the king. And I will make a covenant with you, and you may reign over all that your soul desires." So David sent Abner away, and he went in peace. Joab slays Abner. So Abner and 20 men So Abner and 20 men with him came to David at Hebron, and David made a feast for Abner and the men with him. Then Abner said to David, I will arise and go, and gather all Israel to my lord the king, and I will make a covenant with you, and you may reign over all that your soul desires. So David sent Abner away, and he went in peace. At that moment, the servants of David and Joab returned from their journey and brought large quantities of spoils with them. But Abner was not with David in Hebron, for he had sent him away, and he had gone in peace when Joab and all the troops with him had come. They told Joab, saying, Abner, the son of Ner, came to the king, and he sent him away, and he went in peace. Then Joab came to the king and said, What is this you ordered? Behold, Abner came to you. Why did you send him away that he departed in peace? Or do you not perceive the evil of Abner, the son of Ner, who came to deceive you, to know you're going out and you're coming in, and all that you do? And Joab went from David's presence and sent messengers after Abner, who brought him back from the wall of Sirach. But David did not know of this. When Abner returned to Hebron, and Joab returned him aside at the gate to speak with him privately. There an ambush awaited him. Joab stabbed him in the loins, and Abner died for the blood of Asahel, Joab's brother. After David heard this, he said, Of the blood of Abner, the son of Ner, I am forever innocent before the Lord, and so is my kingdom. Let it rest on Joab's head and on all his father's house, and let there never be a time in the house of Joab when it will be found free of the suffering from gonorrhea, or a leper, or the one that leans on a staff, or falls by the sword, or lacks bread. And Joab and Abishai, his brother, had lain in wait continually for Abner, because he killed their brother Asahel at Gibeon after the struggle. David laments Abner's death. Then David said to Joab and to all people with him, Tear your clothes, gird yourselves with sackcloth, and mourn for Abner. And King David followed the coffin. So they buried Abner in Hebron, and the king lifted up his voice and wept at the grave. And all the people wept over Abner. And the king sang a lament over Abner and said, Should Abner die according to the death of Nabal? Your hands were not bound, nor were your feet held by chains, for Nabal was brought forward on different grounds. You fell before children of injustice. All the people assembled to weep for him. And when all the people came to persuade David to eat food while it was still day, David took an oath, saying, God, do so and more to me, if I eat bread or anything else before the sun goes down. All the people noticed, and all were pleased, as the king did many pleasing things before the people. On that day, all the people and all Israel came to realize the king was not intent on killing Abner, the son of Ner. Then the king said to his servants, Do you know that a great prince has fallen today in Israel? Though I am governing as the anointed king, on this very day I am a kinsman. And to me, these men, sons of Zeruiah, are more unyielding than I am. The Lord shall repay the evildoer according to his malice. Mephibosheth is slain. When Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, heard that Abner had died while in Hebron, the strength of his hands grew weaker, and all the men of Israel were low in spirits. Now Saul's son Mephibosheth had two men who were captains over the troops. The name of one was Banah, and the name of the other was Rechab, the sons of Rimmon the Beerothite. of the sons of Benjamin, for Beroth was considered as one of the sons of Benjamin. And the Beerothites fled to Gibeon and sojourned there until this day. Jonathan, a son of Saul, had a 5-year-old son who was lame in his feet. When word came from Jezreel about Saul and his son Jonathan, his nurse picked up his son and fled, and as she ran to leave, she fell and his foot became lame. Mephibosheth was his name. And Rechab and Banan, the sons of Rimmon the Beerothite, set out, and by the time the hottest part of the day arrived, they were as far as the house of Mephibosheth, and he was napping on the bed at midday. And behold, the doorkeeper of the house winnowed the wheat, and he too napped. Thus, the presence of the brothers Rechab and Baanah went unnoticed. While Mephibosheth was asleep on his bed in his bedroom, they entered, and struck him dead and beheaded him. They then took his head and journeyed the whole night on the road going west. They brought the head of Mephibosheth to David at Hebron. They said to the king, "Behold, the head of Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, your enemy, who sought your life today. Today the Lord executed for my lord the king vengeance upon his enemies, even on Saul your enemy, and on his seed." But David answered Rechab and Banan, his brother, the sons of Rimmon the Beerothite, saying to them, "As the Lord lives, who redeemed my life from all the adversity, when someone told me, 'Look at Saul. Look, Saul is dead,' believing he brought me good news, I arrested him, the one who thought I would give him a reward, and he was executed in Ziklag. And now wicked men kill a righteous person in his house on his bed. Now by reason of your direct involvement, I will charge you with his murder. I will have you utterly removed from the land." And David gave a command to his servants, and they killed him. They cut off their hands and feet, and they hung them by the pool in Hebron. But the head of Mephibosheth was buried in the tomb of Abner, son of Ner. Notes from the previous page. 3:1 through 5. War continues between the houses of David and Saul. Though David's house grows continually stronger, thus also the emphasis on the number of sons begotten by him at Hebron and the listing of the wives who bore them, underscoring the political alliances that are growing. 3:6 through 21. After a dispute with Ishbosheth over the accusation of having taken Saul's concubine, Rizpah, Abner is indignant. He goes to seek a league with David. David agrees on condition that his wife Michal be returned to him. See Kings 25:44. Or 1 Kings 25:44. The effect would be to restore his relationship with the house of Saul. 3:22 through 30. Joab returns from a raid to hear of league between David and Abner. He is suspicious of Abner's motives. The blood feud has continued. He says Abner, exactly as Asahel was slain, stabbed in the loins, since Joab has reached the peace proclaimed between Abner and the house of David. David declares that the blood of Abner will be a curse upon the house of Joab. Otherwise, the word of the king would be worthless in future alliances. 3:31 through 39. The general mourning for Abner underscores David's guiltiness in his death, a comparison made to the death of Nabal, who had deserved his fate. 4:1 through 12. Hearing of the death of Abner, two of Saul's captains, Banan and Rechab, slay Mephibosheth, but David is not impressed with their treachery. Though they tried to impress him with their deeds, he reminds them of what he did to the messenger who reported Saul's death. Note, there are two men named Mephibosheth in this chapter. The one who was killed is Saul's son. The other is Jonathan's son, 4:4, Saul's grandson. Once again, the constant theme of not touching the Lord's anointed is reasserted by David. It bolsters his position as king, as well as showing respect for the house of Saul and anointing the Lord gave him.